Good afternoon. Dr. Lana Walton here. Today, Black History Month, I would like to talk to my people. Now, often we complain and we say that other races have very bad interpersonal relationships with us. We talk about the way that they treat us as a people. But have we ever stopped to think about the often horrible interpersonal relationships that we have with one another? For instance, are you guilty of turning your head or acting as if you don't see another black person when you walk down the street or you go in the store and they smile at you or either say hi and you turn your head as if they are a shadow or as if you don't see them? Willie Lynch Syndrome. Are you guilty of hating another black person because they have a new job, they got a promotion on their job, they have a new house, they have a new car, or anything like that? Willie Lynch Syndrome. Are you guilty of not wanting to date another black woman or a black male because you feel that they are too dark or too light, the colorization problem? Willie Lynch Syndrome. Are you guilty of always competing with another black person? What is that called? The keeping up with the Joneses syndrome. Are you guilty of downgrading or not uplifting another black person simply because they are black? Willie Lynch Syndrome. Are you guilty of not wanting to hire another black person, even though you own the means of production, you own the company, but you stereotype them just as other races stereotype them, saying that they are lazy when you haven't even given them an opportunity to prove themselves? Or because you feel that someone else is better fit to be a public image for your company at the front desk? Willie Lynch Syndrome. And so, do you wonder where this type attitude come from? The Willie Lynch Syndrome? Well, it is said that it comes from Willie Lynch. And who is Willie Lynch? Willie Lynch was a white slave owner back in the 1712 who had written a letter. Some say letter, some say that he spoke to slave owners in America. He was from the Indies, I believe, and he spoke to, or was from Virginia. I can't remember which one, but he spoke to them or wrote a letter to them, telling them how to keep their slaves enslaved mentally for thousands, or psychologically for thousands or hundreds of years at least. And I'm going to read that letter to you. And it starts off by saying, "Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experience with some of the newest and still the oldest methods of control of all slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program were implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of woods as crosses for standing human bodies along the highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing a valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprising. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. And I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. And this is what he says. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of plantations, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slave live in the valley or hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action, but before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-regeneration for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on them, on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful with one another. Thank you, gentlemen. The Willie Lynch Syndrome. So anytime you find yourself guilty of committing any of those things, remember this letter. It is time that we as a people come together in unity and learn to treat each other the same way that we complain we want other races to treat us. That's the end of the Willie Lynch. And you have a good day. And I'll see you another time.